Ever dreamed of just hitting the open road? Maybe your office has this stunning mountain view one day, the beach the next, or just escaping into nature, but like with your whole home right there with you on wheels. Well, if that idea sparks something in you, get ready. Because today we're taking a deep dive into the really booming global motor caravans market.
It really is booming. Quite something to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And our insights for this deep dive, they come straight from the Global Motor Caravans Market Trends and Forecasts 2021-2033 report. It's a really comprehensive piece from Cognitive Market Research, their 2025 Global Edition.
A solid source. Gives us a great view.
Exactly. And our mission today really is to pull out the most important bits of knowledge from that report, give you a shortcut to understanding the key growth figures, the regional trends, see how this market is shaping up from 2021 all the way out to 2033.
Covering quite a span of time there.
It is. So let's kick off with the big picture globally. This market, back in 2021, it generated over $7.4 billion in sales revenue.
Significant.
And the projections, they're even more eye-opening. It's expected to climb to nearly $9 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then further escalate to a pretty staggering $13 billion by 2033.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a solid compound annual growth rate, here a GR of almost 5%, 4.82% to be precise.
So nearly doubling in about, 12 years?
Essentially, yes. It's pretty remarkable growth.
And what's fascinating here, right, is that these global numbers, they aren't just random figures. They really reflect a significant underlying shift.
Okay.
You've got increasing consumer demand for these mobile leisure vehicles, for sure. But maybe even more powerful, it's the rise of this, van life culture.
Ah, yeah, you see that everywhere now.
Exactly. It's not just about a quick holiday anymore. It's becoming a lifestyle choice, driven by digital nomads wanting freedom at different pace. It really appeals, especially to younger generations who can now work from almost anywhere.
Right, the flexibility.
That fundamental shift is a huge engine for this market, and we're seeing it spread, really rapidly across both developed and emerging economies.
Okay, that global surge is definitely undeniable. But where are these growth engines really firing on all cylinders? Let's maybe unpack this a bit. Drill down into the regions, because that's where you see some really interesting dynamics.
Agreed. The regional breakdown is key.
Take North America, for instance. It's been an absolutely dominant force. Started with revenues over $4.4 billion back in 2021.
Which is already a huge chunk of that global total.
Exactly. And it's projected to hit a massive $7.5 billion by 2033.
Wow. Still leading the pack by a wide margin then. And within North America, it's mostly the U.S., right?
Yeah, the United States definitely accounts for the lion's share. It started around $3.6 billion in 2021, projected to reach over $6.1 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.4%.
Solid growth.
But interestingly, look at Canada. Smaller market, sure, but it saw an even higher CAGR over 5.3%.
Oh, interesting. So faster growth rate from a smaller base.
Precisely. Canada's market is set to almost double, from roughly $400 million in 2021 to over $750 million by 2033.
Okay.
And Mexico, also showing consistent strong growth. It rounds out a really robust picture for the whole region.
Yeah, it really speaks to that deeply ingrained culture of road tripping, outdoor recreation. It seems like it's just expanding further.
For sure. So North America clearly leads. But what's the story in Europe? Are we seeing similar things, or is it a different kind of trajectory across the Atlantic?
Europe's interesting. The market there was around $1.3 billion in 2021.
Okay.
And it's showing a very steady climb, expected to reach over $2.2 billion by 2033. A CAGR of about 4.3%.
So steady growth, maybe not quite as explosive as North America initially, but consistent.
Exactly. And if you connect this back, Europe's growth seems largely driven by, a rising interest in motorhome tourism across the continent.
Makes sense. All those amazing landscapes, easy border crossings.
Precisely. Germany's taking a lead there. Revenues projected to hit over $540 million by 2033. The UK also shows significant promise, growing from around $186 million to nearly $320 million over that same period.
Right.
And then you have France, Italy, Spain, Sweden, all showing solid moderate growth. KGR is mostly between, say, 3.7% and 4.6%.
So broad-based growth across Western Europe.
Pretty much. Even places like Russia and Luxembourg show modest gains. Switzerland, Denmark, the rest of Europe, they all contribute positively.
Yeah.
It confirms that freedom of the open road idea resonates deeply with Europeans, too.
Okay. From those established markets, let's turn our gaze eastward. Looking at the numbers, Asia Pacific really jumps out. It looks like a major growth engine here.
Oh, absolutely.
Valued under $800 million in 2021, but set to reach an impressive $1.7 billion by 2033. That's the fastest growth rate globally, right?
Yeah.
A KGR over 6.8%.
That's right, 6.801%. It's pretty remarkable.
What's driving that incredible pace?
Well, it seems to be a combination of factors. Rising affluence is a big one.
More disposable income.
Yeah, so people aren't just earning more. They're looking for unique, kind of personalized travel experiences,
Right.
moving beyond just traditional hotels.
Right.
Plus, you've got increasing tourism generally and just a developing recreational travel culture in many of these countries.
And who's leading the charge there?
China is a major player, set to more than double its market from about 245 million in 2021 to over 550 million by 2033.
Wow.
But what's really striking is India. A staggering growth rate there, almost 8% annually, 7.75% CAGR.
Incredible.
Yeah, projected to grow from under 100 million in 2021 to over 240 million by 2033.
So huge potential being unlocked there.
Definitely. And it's not just China and India. Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, the broader Southeast Asia region, they're all posting strong figures too, most with KGRs above 5%.
Any standouts among those?
Well, Singapore and Southeast Asia specifically show really standout growth, actually.
Yeah.
Both over 7% CAGR. Singapore, for instance, goes from about 24 million to over 56 million.
It really paints a picture of a region just embracing this new way of experiential travel, a big cultural shift, it seems.
It certainly looks that way. A fundamental shift in how leisure and travel are viewed.
Okay, so from those fast-growing markets, let's head south. South America. The story there seems more about maybe emerging potential. Still pretty robust growth, though.
That's a good way to put it. Emerging potential, yeah.
The market started around $310 million in 2021, expected to grow to nearly $600 million by 2033, a CAGR over 5.2%.
Yeah, 5.249%. Still very healthy growth. Brazil's leading the way there.
Okay.
Revenues projected to nearly double, from 125 million in 2021 to over 228 million by 2033.
And Argentina?
Argentina's following with really impressive momentum too, a CAGR over 5.9%, set to double this market from about 42 million to over 85 million.
Nice.
And then you see consistent, healthy growth over 4.5% CAGR across Colombia, Peru, Chile, and the rest of South America as well.
So it suggests that as economies develop, that desire for more adventurous, independent travel options grows too.
Exactly. It follows that pattern.
Right. Moving on to the Middle East, another region probably with its own unique drivers.
Definitely.
The market there hit just over $300 million in 2021, expected to climb to nearly $550 million by 2033. CGR around 5%.
Yeah, 5.046%. And this growth in the Middle East seems directly connected to an increasing interest in local tourism, and specifically desert-based tourism within the region.
Ah, okay. Exploring those vast open spaces.
Precisely. And the tourism infrastructure there is evolving. Motor caravans offer, well, a perfect way to explore that kind of environment.
Makes sense. Who are the key players?
Saudi Arabia and the UAE are among the fastest growing.
Yep.
The UAE in particular boasts a strong CGR of over 5.6%, projected to reach over 108 million by 2033.
Okay.
Other notable contributors, Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, the rest of the Middle East, are also showing positive trends. It reflects a broadening appeal beyond maybe the more traditional leisure activities there.
Interesting. Okay, let's round out our world tour, Africa. The market there posted around $250 million in 2021, forecasted to grow to over $450 million by 2033.
Yeah, about 4.9% CAGR overall for the region. And South Africa is clearly taking the lead.
Right.
Its market's projected to nearly double, from about 110 million in 2021 to over 200 million, nearly 210 million by 2033. That's also around a 4.9% CAGR.
And elsewhere.
Nigeria and the rest of Africa have also contributed positively. It's more moderate growth, but it's there, fueled by, expanding tourism and developing that outdoor recreation infrastructure.
So kind of building a foundation for future growth, tapping into the continent's incredible natural beauty.
Exactly. It suggests a build-out phase that could support more significant growth down the line.
Wow. Okay, so we've really covered the globe here. What does this all mean when we bring it back together? We've taken this deep dive, seen this thriving global motor caravans market, global revenues jumping from over $7.4 billion in 2021 to a projected, over $13 billion by 2033?
That's the headline number.
And seeing these impressive regional stories, North America's dominance, Asia-Pacific's incredible acceleration, it's clear this industry is really on a serious upward path.
That's right. And the key forces driving it all seem pretty clear, don't they?
Yeah.
Rising disposable income, absolutely. The increasing embrace of remote work culture, that's huge. And just this maybe renewed appreciation for nature, for road-based tourism.
The freedom and flexibility aspect.
Exactly. What this tells us, I think, is that people worldwide are valuing that freedom and flexibility more than ever. They're seeking experiences that kind of blend adventure with the comforts of home, and that's leading to this really solid upward trajectory we're seeing.
Mm.
In the established markets, yes, but also really strongly in the rapidly developing ones, too.
So here's a final thought maybe for you to ponder. As consumers everywhere embrace this freedom, this flexibility of caravan travel, and, as those lines blur between traditional work and, well, life on the road, what might that mean for the future of travel infrastructure, say? Or maybe even how we define community in the coming decades?
Good question.
Something to think about as you maybe plan your own next road trip.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're hitting the open road, so to speak. We're exploring a market that's really changing how we think about travel, the motor caravans market. And, this isn't just about a vehicle anymore. It feels like it's become an entire lifestyle. We're going to uncover, well, quite a surprising blend of adventure, luxury, and some really cutting-edge technology. It's redefining how we get out and explore. Okay, let's unpack this.
Absolutely. And it's such a dynamic market, isn't it? What we're diving into today, it isn't just some niche travel segment. It really holds broader implications for how we think about leisure, personal space, even ownership, really, in this rapidly changing world. It's a fascinating reflection of evolving consumer desires.
So what's the immediate draw then? I mean, what really struck me is how quickly these vehicles seem to have gone from something for, say, retirees to being almost everywhere.
Yeah.
What's that immediate appeal that's driving this boom? I'm thinking a lot about that dramatic shift, in how people vacation, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. It feels like people are leaning much more towards socially distanced, nature-based kinds of travel experiences.
Exactly.
And motor caravans just fit that perfectly, don't they? They
Yeah.
offer that ultimate freedom, that flexibility, and self-sufficiency that travelers seem to be craving.
Mhm.
And we're seeing this trend being especially strong among younger travelers and retirees. That's an interesting mix. What do you think unites those two groups in wanting motor caravans?
That's a great question. And it really points to a deeper shift, I think. It's almost like the pandemic didn't just change where we travel, but maybe how we define freedom when we're on the road. The core insight here is maybe it isn't just about escape, it's about gaining control, maybe, in uncertain times, and perhaps a deeper yearning for self reliance. And when you connect that desire for freedom to broader societal trends,
Yeah.
particularly that rise in disposable income and spending on luxury lifestyles, especially you see this in North America and Europe, you see how motor caravans are kind of shifting. They're moving from just being transport to being seen as high-end lifestyle products.
Right, a status symbol almost.
In a way, yes. For many, owning one is like owning a curated personal sanctuary on wheels. It's about escaping that traditional travel grind, maybe, but without sacrificing quality or comfort. Finding that sort of bespoke comfort even when you're, totally off grid.
Hmm. So it sounds like consumers are really hungry for this experience,
Mhm.
but are governments also playing a part in sort of fueling this market? Because it feels like there's quite a bit of external support driving this growth too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a two-way street. Many nations are actively investing in supportive infrastructure, and they're offering incentives specifically to promote domestic tourism. We're seeing a real expansion in things like RV parks, better road networks, facilities tailored just for motor caravan travelers.
And it goes beyond just the physical infrastructure, right? Are there
Mhm.
specific, like, financial incentives that make these more attractive?
Yes, exactly. On top of the infrastructure, you've got specific incentives, things like tax credits, sometimes relaxed vehicle classification rules,
Yeah.
and even tourism development grants. All of this is motivating consumers to look at motor caravans not just as, a fun leisure tool, but increasingly as a potential long-term investment. They're making it easier and certainly more appealing for people to commit to this lifestyle.
Okay, it sounds incredibly appealing. But of course, even the most exciting markets face hurdles. So let's talk about some of the bumps in the road for the motor caravans market. I mean, the most obvious restraint is definitely the cost, right? Both buying one and keeping it running.
Hmm.
It's a significant upfront investment. And then you have all those ongoing expenses, insurance, fuel, storage, maintenance. It adds up. These factors often seem to limit ownership to, well, higher income individuals. Or, interestingly, it drives the market towards rental models.
Hmm.
So is the future maybe more about access than outright ownership then? Are we seeing a kind of paradigm shift there?
That's a really insightful question. And yes, it certainly seems that way. This cost barrier is definitely prompting a fundamental shift in how people engage with motor caravans. And beyond just the money, there are practical limitations too that affect accessibility.
Like what?
Well, urban accessibility and parking issues are a real concern. Trying to navigate these large motor caravans through, city streets, or just finding suitable parking in congested areas, that remains a significant hurdle.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Zoning laws, too, and just limited infrastructure in many cities, they reduce the practicality of using them for certain routes or destinations. And this is especially true in developing countries where the infrastructure might not be quite as mature yet.
Right. And then there's the elephant in the room for many consumers today, the environmental impact, emissions. Traditional motor caravans often run on diesel engines, which, as we all know, are increasingly criticized for contributing to greenhouse gas emissions.
True.
So as environmental consciousness keeps growing, manufacturers must be under increasing pressure. They're facing both regulatory demands and, shifting public preferences towards more sustainable alternatives.
Yeah.
How realistic is it, do you think, for the industry to genuinely go green without maybe alienating their traditional customer base?
That really is the critical design challenge for the industry right now, isn't it? It forces manufacturers to innovate. And honestly, this brings us to one of the most compelling aspects of how the market's evolving. This isn't a market that's just shying away from those challenges, it seems to be embracing them.
Also,
Well, for instance, think about the surge in rental and sharing platforms. These services let travelers experience caravan life without that huge commitment of ownership. So it directly addresses the cost barrier we talked about.
okay. Makes sense.
And with features like app-based booking, personalized rental plans, even one-way trip options, motor caravan rentals are opening the door to a much wider customer base. It makes the whole experience accessible to way more people than ever before. What's fascinating here is how these platforms democratize access.
That's a perfect solution, really, for the cost and maybe even some of the urban
That's all.
accessibility issues, isn't it?
Yeah.
But speaking of innovation,
Yeah.
let's talk tech. It's amazing how far the technology itself has come. We're seeing some incredible advancements in electrification and sustainable RV design.
Yes, that's where the industry really starts to kind of defy expectations. You have these forward-thinking manufacturers who are actively developing electric and hybrid motor caravans. They're incorporating things like solar panels, using eco-friendly interior materials, energy-efficient appliances.
Right.
These models, they don't just reduce the environmental impact, which is key, they also genuinely appeal to those off-grid enthusiasts, people who want to travel light,
Right.
both in terms of their environmental footprint and their travel flexibility.
It's truly incredible. I mean, imagine pulling up to some remote national park with your entire smart home basically integrated into your vehicle.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the broader trajectory of what consumers want, it's clear there's a strong pull for customization and smart connectivity. Today's consumers, they want more than just a basic RV. They expect a connected, tech-enhanced experience.
So like smart homes on wheels.
Essentially, yes. Motor caravans are being transformed into these, well, futuristic mobile homes. We're talking everything from modular interiors and smart lighting systems to IoT-enabled appliances, even voice-controlled entertainment systems. This caters to both that luxury end of the market and the demand for convenience. It's pushing the boundaries of what a mobile living space can actually be.
Here's where it gets really interesting. All these possibilities converging. So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Our deep dive really shows that whether you're a nature lover, maybe a tech-savvy adventurer, or just someone dreaming of the open road, the motor caravans market is evolving at lightning speed to cater to you. It's clearly about so much more than just the vehicle itself. It's becoming a fundamental lifestyle choice for many.
And that's exactly why this market seems poised for even more exciting growth ahead. With this ongoing innovation from manufacturers, the proactive support we see from governments, and these new flexible travel platforms, the whole motor caravan experience is just becoming more accessible, more sustainable, and frankly, more luxurious than ever before. It really is a holistic evolution of mobile living.
It truly is. And, as these advancements continue to redefine what a motor caravan can even be, transforming them into these high-tech personal sanctuaries on wheels, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How might this not just change how we travel, but could it fundamentally redefine our very concept of home and personal space? especially in a world that seems to crave both connection and independence more than ever. Something to mull on until next time.